So you'll have noticed that when you visit a page that doesn't exist within Slim, by default we see this page not found handler, and of course over here we also throw a 404 status code as well. So the point of this section really is to obviously show you how we can override this with a custom page, which is pretty important when you're building apps, but also the whole point is to dive behind the scenes and actually take a look at how Slim handles this, and this will give you a much better idea of what you're actually doing. It's always a good idea to dive into the source code. So let's first of all just take this part to see what happens when we don't actually find a page within Slim. What happens? So if we just come over to vendor, Slim once again, and just come over to app here, if we go ahead and just have a search for not found handler. Now you can see as part of the main doc block, we see here not found handler. Now this gives me the impression that I can actually pass this into the container. So we'll take a look at how this all works in a minute, but let's go ahead and just search for not found handler. And I do a lot of this searching when I'm trying to find out what's going on. So you can see here that if we come up to here, when we invoke this, down here we have if not container has not found handler, throw not found exception. So this gives us a clue. If we don't have this on our container, then we're going to just throw a not found exception, which is just a kind of standard exception within Slim, and that's under the exception directory. Now otherwise down here, what we do is have a not found handler pulled out of the container, and then we return that not found handler, really importantly passing through request and response. So essentially what's happening here is by default Slim has a not found handler on its container, and just by having a little browse of the source code we know that, because we know that we're getting this out of the container. So now that we've seen this, let's kind of dive in and see where this actually is within Slim. Well, I already have this directory open here. It's Slim handlers, and we have not allowed, not found, and PHP error. Now you may wish to go ahead and update your not allowed handler as well, but really the focus is on not found for now, and then the concept will be the same for this. So if we open up our not found handler, let's just take a look at this. So we know that when we call this over here, we're passing through request and response, and we get our request and response in here, which then it kind of just works out what to do based on the content type. So for example, if we're working maybe within some kind of API, we render out a JSON not found output. If we're working with XML, which is fairly unlikely, we go ahead and output XML. And then if it's a standard page, e.g. text HTML, we render an HTML not found output. So if we just come down, we can see here that we get the HTML not found output just in here, which is exactly what we're seeing when we don't see a page. So if I was to just go ahead and add something onto this, you obviously wouldn't want to change this file because it's part of the Slim framework. But if we just go over and come over to a page that doesn't exist, notice that that has been updated. So these kind of things are really important to just dive in and see how things work. What we're going to do in the next video is look at how we override this, and then we're going to look at how we override this with a class-based handler. And hopefully this will start to make things a lot clearer as to how we do things like this, and it will give you a good idea as to how you can dive in and update anything else you need to as well.